Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Suicide Prevention Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March the 26th, 2025, and it is approximately 5:36. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and I'm going to invite Earl, if you can please do the roll call for the committee members on the left.
Julie Lozano,
Present.
Maxine Reveldes, Edwin Martinez, Miguel Rangel,
Present.
Marisela Jackman, myself present, Gabriel Martinez,
Present.
Jaime Montes, and Marina Medina.
And we have a quorum. Thank you so much. At this moment in time, if we can go ahead and take a moment to do a reflection before we get started. And make sure that your phones are on silent mode. Thank you so much. Today is the last Wednesday of the end of the month, so let's go ahead and just kind of cleanse our minds by releasing all the negative things we picked up today during the day and welcoming that they need freedom that only we can get from God. As we place ourselves before Him. Heavenly Father and everlasting God, thank you, Lord, because you have given us another day of life. You have brought us together again so that we can plan, organize, and share with each other the best ways that we can help not just one another, but the people that will serve in your community, God. We invite you to join us so that everything we think, say, and do today it is to enlighten and not others. In the name of pray, Jesus Christ, amen. I don't think there was any public comments. Citizens are required to notify members of their intent to comment prior to the start of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Should there be more than 3 people who wish to speak on a particular issue, they need to select not more than 3 representatives to speak for them, and the presiding officer may limit the public comments further in the interest of an orderly meeting. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. And I believe that we don't have anyone signed up for public comments. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of minutes for January 29, 2025. And I believe all of you received a copy of the minutes, the committee members. While we're looking for those, just a reminder for everyone around the table, thank you for joining us today. Any voting that is done, that is conducted during the meeting, can only be motioned and seconded by the committee members that were appointed by the council members and the mayor. When there's time for discussion, we can all discuss, bring up ideas, ask questions, but the voting is only those appointed members. So is there a motion?
I'd like to make the motion to accept the minutes.
So we have a motion by Mr. Rangel.
January 29th.
I'll second, Gabriel Martinez.
Mr. Martinez seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much for that. The next item on the agenda is the City of Laredo Police Report. Sergeant Alvarez.
Good evening. I'm gonna go ahead and go through all. I think we missed last month's meeting, so I also included last month and January's information. So if you can see, a lot of this information that we've accumulated, we've gathered is through 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and the rest of the years that follow. Attempted suicide calls in total for the past 3 months, we've had 34. Attempted suicide reports, we've had 48. If you can notice the difference in 34, 48, not always do we get the calls come in as a attempted suicide. Sometimes they come in as subject disturbing, they come in as a different type of call, so that's why it's very hard to get those accurate numbers. But once the officer gets there, they're able to pretty much log in the report, and that's why we have a difference in 34 to 48 numbers of reports. Suicides resulting in death, we have for 2025, we have 7. Emergency detention reports, we have 128, and emergency detention calls, we have 154. A breakdown for the month of March, calls that have come in for attempted suicide and suicide. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calls in total for the month of March, and we've had 2 suicides for the month of March. Notably, it's on March 4th, we had a 49-year-old male who suffered a gunshot wound, and we had a 35-year-old male who also was deceased by hanging. These are the 2 calls for, and the location was by 100 Village Boulevard. The method was gunshot wound. The second one was 15, and it was by 500 O'Kane Street. Method was by hanging. This is another breakdown for each call of the attempted suicide calls. The first one for the month was on March 2nd. The method was choking, and this was a 15-year-old male who was attempting to choke himself. He has no prior history of being a patient at Border Region. This one was the suicide, the one where he was deceased, was a 49-year-old male. Police responded to a subject disturbing call. It was a gunshot wound to the forehead. When officers arrived, he was already deceased. He also didn't have prior history of being a patient at Border Region. This was another attempted suicide call. Method was by cutting, and this was by 1400 Runner Street. Police responded to an attempted suicide call located a female and wanted to cut herself. I believe on that one, I think we do have the age. I apologize if I didn't put that unknown age, but on the other page previously, we do have the accurate age. This female has no history of being a patient at Border Region. This one was at 500 O'Kane. Method was a gunshot wound. This was the suicide. The call came in on Saturday, March 15th, approximately 8:42 p.m. Police responded to an attempted suicide call and located a 35-year-old male who was found hanging from the fence. I apologize for the method. It says gunshot wound, but it's not. It's hanging. The male was deceased, and he did not have any history of being a patient at Border Region. Next one was March 20th, 2025. At approximately 1:44 p.m., police responded to an attempted suicide call located at a 10-year-old female who was attempting to cut herself. But this one originated at Milton Elementary School. We had the counselor and Milton Elementary personnel who called it in, and we took over the call, because this pretty much was originating from her residence, and we were able to pretty much detain her and provide her with the services. She doesn't have any history of being a patient at Border Region or I think it's, I forgot the other agency, but yeah, she doesn't have any history. The next one is a call came in on March 23rd. 10:12 p.m. Police responded to an attempted suicide call located a 15-year-old female who attempted to overdose on cough syrup. She doesn't have any history of being a patient. Border Region, now by 1500 Tradewind. This one is by 4200 Merida Street Drive. It was an overdose Wednesday, March 25th, 2025 at approximately 12:15 p.m. Police responded to an attempted suicide call located at a 69-year-old female who attempted to overdose on pills. She does have history. This happened yesterday. We did emergency detain her, so she was detained and she was sent to San Antonio. This is the heat map for the past 2 months where the bulk of the calls are coming in for the attempted suicide. Any questions? I'm Sergeant Heriberto Avalos. My email's on there. I do have 3 mental health unit officers that assist me, and one of them is Jacqueline Davalos, Emerson Barbosa, and Gilberto Ramirez. And well, for any questions, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Sergeant Avalos. Does anybody have any questions for the sergeant?
Just in the EDs, Mr. Avalos.
Yes, sir.
I know at times staff has a hard time obtaining an ED, where the PD is there. PD might be there and they're like, no, we don't want to sign you, you need to call Central or whatever. So that's one thing that was brought up to me by our quality management director. And see if that can be streamlined, because it makes it a lot easier to get. The accepting hospital needs the ED signed, and that's the reason that it's required for them to be hospitalized.
We've been having, since I've took over the mental health unit, working well with Ms. Vega and her caseworkers. We're having every monthly meetings. We started that, and we want to make sure that, of course, that a lot of pretty much issues play towards EDing something. It's something that we have to follow as per what is state law. Remember, a lot of these times when we ED somebody, it's because they have to show an immediate threat. At that point, we've had cases where no, they called it in a month ago or 2 weeks ago, and they want us to ED. Sometimes if we can't do that, we got to make sure that the laws are pretty much followed. We don't want to just take somebody's freedom, because that's what we're doing. We're taking away their freedom. We've been having these meetings, and we're addressing a lot of these concerns. We want to make sure that we do make the right decision. And I hate to say it, but we've had some of our officers pretty much investigated by the FBI because these people felt that they were detained or they were taking their freedom away unlawfully. And so that's something that pretty much I've discussed with our admin, making sure that, hey, okay, as long as they're abiding by it in good faith, and we're pretty much doing the right thing, we shouldn't have any problems. But we're working, we're meeting once a month. We're trying to work out all the little kinks out, so make sure that we're in the right place.
And it's rare, but at times staff will, when they staff the cases with supervisors that were called a whole week, and because like they don't want to sign it, they said to call the person in charge and this and that. But it's rare, but it's happened, and that makes it harder for the staff to go home, because they need to have all this documentation, all the collateral that is going to the accepting hospital. So that's the only time. But when they're there in ED, they're not going anywhere. They're going to get the service they need, and it's going to be up to the medical person in charge to release them. If they're still a danger to self or others, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay there until transportation is available and what have you. So. But other than that, we do have a good working relationship. Yes. It's just at times, staff feels frustrated because they're there at 3, 2 in the morning, what have you.
And the first meeting that we had, with the first monthly meeting we had one of the doctors that was present there, and a lot of the problems were what was on the ED itself. The language itself was very on the line, and because we're the ones who sign it, and the officer he signs it, so he's the one that he's the one who has the authority. And if they come back and they say, hey, look, we want to sue them, we want to sue the city, or we want to sue them, then my officer's the one that's going to be in trouble. So we were able to pretty much work on a lot of that language. The doctor was, was very helpful. He said, no, we got to make sure that we're documenting the correct information so that there's no problems in the future.
Thank you so much for that
I'm sorry, I
discussion.
have a question. I don't understand the legal, what's ED?
Emergency detention, I apologize, emergency detention.
I was like, what's that?
Very good question.
Okay, thank you.
Sergeant, thank you for your report. I have a question for you. I see the team that you have on the mental health unit. Is your team on call 24 hours a day, or y'all on shifts? How does that work?
For the most part, we work 8 to 5, Doctor, and it's because we limit pretty much our work schedule just like the way Border Region has it. They're 8 to 5. So we do usually have, anytime it's past 6 or 7, I do have an officer, we do have the discretion to pretty much stay afterwards and pretty much assist them in making sure that this gets expedited quickly. Our field supervisors, our patrol units, they all have our information. So if something happens, they call us right away. They say, hey, okay, we have something going on. We need to pretty much talk to one of us, and they'll answer the phone.
So I'll put this scenario on the table, we're all learning, right? And I thank you for your services. Let's say it's Friday night, I'm going home for the weekend and my next door neighbor comes knocking on my door because their relative is having a mental health crisis, right? From what they can see, their behavior, they're not normal, they're not drunk, they're not under the influence, but they're behaving in a manner that is not them. And they feel like, they're having a mental health situation. Who do we call at that time? Like me as the next door neighbor wanting to help my neighbor with that situation. The first thing that I would think that would come to mind would be 911, right?
Yes.
But a lot of times they'll say, well, what is your emergency? And if it's not a robbery, a crime, or the house is burning down many times, and I say this because I've had several people tell me they will not help her. So who do we call?
It's going to be 911. It's going to be us, and our officers pretty much. My team has pretty much gone to all of our briefings, have trained a lot of our officers, so they know, a lot of our field supervisors, they know what to look for when it comes to pretty much emergency detention. And they know if they see that, they ask pretty much a lot of questions for the family members. Is he or she a risk to themselves or to anybody else? Have they slept? That's one of the big things, because sometimes they haven't slept for days, and right off the bat, that's a telltale sign that they might be having a psychotic episode. Also, if they're a patient, the majority of the time, usually they are a patient. Of course, they're going to ask them, do they use drugs? Because sometimes they confuse hey, well, he is a drug user, or she's a drug user, and for the most part, if they're under the influence, really they're not having a mental health crisis. It's because they're having a drug overdose or for that reason. But our officers are pretty well trained, and if they conduct the pretty much evaluation out there in the field, and we see that it is necessary for them to be detained, we will detain them. And the first step is going to be to pretty much take them to the hospital, get them medically evaluated, make sure that they're okay, and then in the morning, normally we have a caseworker, we have one of our mental health unit officers that shows up.
Very good. So the best thing I can do in that situation is call 911.
Yes.
Anybody else have any other questions for Sergeant Alvarez?
And like you mentioned, this was time it's after hours, so with MCOTS or anybody that's on call for Border Region, it'll be to the emergency room.
Yes.
Sergeant Alvarez mentioned, because they have to get that medical clearance. If it's drug-induced psychosis or whatever they're going through, psychotic episodes, drug-induced, and we've had those cases, they have to get that medical clearance and to rule it out.
Right.
And until they're able to come off of those drugs, that's when they can get assessed.
That makes sense. Thank you so much for that, Frank and Sergeant Avalos. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, let's move on to the next item. And the next item is update on current projects. I have the Loyola Public Health updates.
Yes, good afternoon. We're picking up from the last meeting session, and we're going to go ahead and have our harm reduction specialist, Ms. Adriana Morales, provide some
Yes, Ariana Morales from Production Specialist with the City of Laredo. As you may recall in other meetings that we've had, we talked about 988 and some of the financial difficulties that they're gonna be experiencing. But first of all, we just wanna highlight what 988 has been doing. So 988 was established in 2022, and since then, they've received a lot, those amounts of calls. But one of the things to keep in mind is that they only have 5 centers. There are only five centers in all of Texas. So they only have 166 crisis counselors, meaning that there are a lot of calls are coming in and they're understaffed, to the point that they are the second highest call volume in the United States, but with the 5th highest in nation for drop calls. Meaning somebody calls and they are either put on hold or not come, or they hang up or they don't call back. So these are interesting numbers to see that the state of Texas is calling, the people from Texas are calling them, but because of the limited availability of counselors and of the call centers, the needs not being met. So also to remember is that Texas allocated $14,000 to these 5 call centers.
14 million.
14 million, sorry. 14 million. However, it takes 21 million to manage the centers. So there's a deficit of $7 million. So all of the 988 does all of that: recruiting, hiring, training, behavioral health workforce staff. They are in charge of to respond, intervene, and provide follow-up for anybody called 988. They engage in the centers, unify them across all of Texas. And they continue to implement more and more things like you're able now to text. So they are providing, we all know, really good resources to all of Texas. However, due to the deficit of the 7 million, we are trying to work, and we already contacted some of our representatives for Senate Bill 188. With this Senate bill, trust funds will be supported by a surcharge collected from cell phone bills, similar to how 911 is help funded. So whoever calls 988 can have some charges to it, which will help fund the 988. So the 988 trust fund will be supported in this way, so that there's increased counselor pay and ensure that the technology, like the text messages and chats, is always available. So that this is a way to make sure that the funding is there in order to continue provide the services of 988. This is some of the letters Dr. Chamberlain has sent to our legislative representatives, just Judith Zafarini and Richard Raymond. So the first one talks about the 20-bed inpatient state-operated psychiatric hospital. So you might remember we used to have one that was staffed or was supervised by San Antonio State Hospital, but it's no longer the case. Now it's a crisis unit. The border region is in charge. So we want to bring back that inpatient unit. And the other advocacy that we're doing is to make sure that our representatives know of this limited funding for 988, and that when it comes in the time to vote for funding, for them not to forget that this resource, 988, needs to be and continue to be funded.
Can I just add for the record that those letters that were sent out to the legislators, many of us around the table went ahead and sent some. I know that when we were here at the January meeting, all of the committee members signed the letter, and the agencies like AHEC sent it out, Shortwater Region. So many of us sent those letters out. Of course, Dr. Richard Chamberlain took the leadership in creating that correspondence, and I'm very grateful to him. I was in Austin yesterday, and I met with the senator myself, and I explained to her, this is the only lifeline we have in our community. I mean, I know Border Region is there and all these great resources, but we go back again in the middle of the night when there's nobody available, who we call, right? So hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed. So Bill 188 has already been signed, or has it been passed?
It's going to be put on the floor.
It's going to be presented.
It's going to be presented. Judith Zafarini has already reached out asking for more information on what happened to the 20 bed that we used to have. Why was it closed? What are the challenges of having this facility? So we did research on it, we presented all the information, and one of the main reasons is that we don't have that many psychiatrists in Laredo. So it's an issue that we always have, being underserved and not having the specialists that we need. So that was one of the reasons and components as to why the facility closed, because the San Antonio State Hospital always had issues on being able to provide a psychiatrist on staff that was always here in Laredo, along with other great operational costs. But the main, one of the main components of the transition or the closure is the psychiatrist.
Thank you so much.
So in continuation, we have an update on the mobile self-care health applications that we were researching. And we're gonna go ahead and have Ms. Barbara Escamilla expand on that topic.
Hello guys, good evening. Taking into consideration that, 9A, unfortunately we're not always gonna get that call, or that call might get dropped. We want to, we're personally, us as the public health department, we're gonna be doing a small campaign to promote simple things like some applications and some websites. We're gonna be, our plan is to launch it in May. And so I invite you all to share, but before that, Ms. Adriana, did you want to share on this
Yes.
one?
So in this one, most of us on the table have used this assessment before. This is the Columbia Protocol, what we call it the CCRS. And we're used to answering this one on paper. Especially if you're a counselor, this is one of the evaluations that we fill out whenever someone visits. Because it's short, and once you have some yeses, like you know what to do next. But having it on paper, having it to find it, now it's an app. It's an application that anybody can download, and it's working. It's Android users, iPhone users. We already tested it as well. And if you are a professional, you can have it on you. And also, it's for yourself, to use to yourself, or to if there's someone that says, I am starting to have suicidal ideations, and you really want to know what is next to do, or if this is something, what's the next step? Is it something that really calls for maybe a 911 call, or is it just call to be sent to resources? So in this one, you click here to continue, and it will ask you, is this for yourself or is this for someone else? And from then, you do the assessment. There's 3 levels: low, moderate, and high risk, just like the normal one or the paper one. And one of the important things on this one is that it actually asks for your location. So when it asks for your location, it's because it might, if there's included in the app, if your region is there, it can also link you or show you the resources. Once you finish the assessment, regardless of your answer, whether it's low, moderate, or risk, it will give you resources such as 988 or local resources. So this is a really good tool for anybody to have, especially those of us that are dealing with clients, right, and clients on mental health or substance abuse.
So at this point, I'm going to invite you all to go ahead and take out your cell phones and go to the App Store. Because the next apps that we're going to show you are free, and the best way that you guys can share this with your teams and then hopefully with your clients or participants, or if you're representing the schools and share it with students, is if you download it yourself and you become familiar with it. The first one is Virtual Hope Box, and so this is wonderful. It's it protects your privacy. It allows you to build your safety plan. When you log in, you have to put in your own code. So it kind of helps individuals know that people are not going to know your most intimate thoughts or your safety plans or the things that put you on edge. So it has a code. It has practical distraction tools. So for those of you searching, that's Virtual Hope Box. It's a great tool to help individuals not ruminate or engage in those negative thoughts. And you could even schedule distractions, like if you know that you get lonely in the weekends, or if you know that like as soon as you get home from work and after you have dinner, you start to have those negative thoughts, you have your timer and it's like, okay, distract me. So this is what it looks like inside. Some of the cons, however, is that it's only in English. It's not meant to connect you with resources. This is not like that one that, you know, it's gonna link you like, oh, try calling these numbers. And there's no live mental health professionals to interact with, but it is a free resource. It has, if you look at the blue section, it has for controlled breathing, muscle relaxation, guided meditation, and those are coping mechanisms and grounding techniques that they can do right away. And so I've tried them; they're wonderful. They do help. And something as distraction, like doing a Sudoku or like those photo puzzles, they're helpful for someone that tends to engage in those or fall into those negative thoughts. The next one is called Suicide Safety Plan, and this one goes into more detail. It's wonderful. It guides you and it teaches you on what coping is. What I really like that it has the educational component. Like it doesn't just tell you to list emergency numbers. It's like who's the best and most appropriate person for this. It doesn't just say safety plan. It tells you what a safety plan is, when you would need it, or when a friend or family member would need it. Right? It guides you. You get to list your emergency contacts. It helps you lay out a plan. You know, what are your warning signs? What are your coping strategies? What are your reasons to live? So you get to personalize it on your own. And what's really cool about this, you can save it and you can share this and email it to your counselor, or maybe you could share it with your best friend, or maybe if your mom's your accountability partner for when you're feeling sad or going through a tough time. You know, you share that safety plan with them, and so they know, okay, I know that this is what makes her feel more comfortable, or she says here that these certain expressions make her, you know, just feel uncomfortable. So you could share your safety plan. Go ahead. Another con is that it's only in English, and again, no live mental professionals to interact with, but it is free. And there's this plan on the right side. Once you click it, you can see all these different options, your warning signs, your coping strategies, your reasons to live, your context, the places that you can go to for distractions. Go ahead too. The other one is the SAMHSA Suicide Safe. This one's more for professionals. I don't think that this one's like the other ones. This is if you are the case worker, you're the social worker, you're the counselor. It's basically what you would do on a work day. So it cannot be
downloaded in the device. So we already tried it.
Yeah.
So you have a really new device, it's not gonna pick up just yet. So what we're hoping is that SAMHSA, because this is a SAMHSA app, will be updated soon. Just know that we are, testing the apps. We not only research and say, oh, this is a great one. We actually try them and we research them. So for new devices, it won't download it, but some like an old device. In this one, it downloaded. In a new Android, it didn't. And but we hope that because it is a SAMHSA tool, that it will be updated.
And something else about this one, this one is in Spanish, but it's mostly used as a teaching tool. Like if you guys have interns, you guys can walk them through it with it. You can have them practice with it. So this is more so they can go over the safety plan. Go ahead, sir. This one's really wonderful. This one's takespacetopause.com. Sorry, .org. Takespacetopause.org. This one's more catered for like the teen population, but you guys can use it yourselves. I highly recommend it. It's wonderful. This one's not a safety plan. This is your plan to pause. Sometimes we do feel maybe overwhelmed, or we by different types of emotions. So takespacetopause.org allows you to create something that works for you. It asks you a series of questions. It also educates you, like, what is feeling overwhelmed, or why are you feeling this way? It has the plan component and the education component. This is wonderful for our younger population. I hadn't heard about this one. I don't know if any of you guys had, But we went to a conference on the science and technology of behavioral change, and that's where they introduced us to this one. And I have it, and I have my little plan, and it's wonderful. And my little brother, he's in middle school, he's 11. There's times that he's like, it's because my friend was saying this and that. I'm like, okay, well let's see what these words mean, or they're expressing it a certain way physically, but you see this is what that looks like. This is the word that helps you define these actions. Go ahead. So here's an example, and it asks you the question like, what helps you? What are your signs? So go ahead, sir. And then the other one is work to be well. This one is wonderful for schools, especially for like counselors, because it has so much content that you guys can share. Even if you're working like with clients or participants, and you guys need like lesson plans, it's wonderful. It has the PowerPoints. It even has like little campaigns like 21 days of being stress-free, and you can share those with with your students or with your organizations. They also they link you up with resources. You can click on your state. So this is wonderful. They have a podcast too. But what I really like were all those shareable files that we could put on social media. And the lesson modules, I think those are wonderful for the districts. So these are just some resources, and I hope you guys can explore them a little bit more and get into the details of it. They're wonderful, and there's more out there. So these are the main ones as of right now.
Yes, and we're moving on. I'm going to share some database strategic approaches that we could use in regards to this public health concern. And this particular tool is called CDC Places, and there's a QR code you can use there, and it spans across different social determinants of health. And I'm going to give you some time to go ahead and you're going to use the QR code to have access to that data. So I went ahead and brought it up here, and I wanted to share this with the community because I believe that it could help us become data-driven and deploy resources strategically. For example, once you're within this map, you can go ahead and choose depression, and it maps in Laredo high prevalence rates of depression throughout the city. So this particularly can be used when we make outreach campaigns for each of our committees. We can see a targeted approach of where is it to deploy and stand, for example, and promote our programs and services. So, for example, we're deciding, okay, where could we conduct outreach? We're going to go ahead and we can access this tool, and right by looking visually, we can see that in South Laredo, we have over the national average at over 26.8% crude prevalence in South Laredo. So we could go ahead and, for example, choose to either block walk, etc. Like for example, in this particular area. You'd excuse me here, the scroll's working a little funny.
So for example, we selected McPherson and Del Mar to do a campaign, the rally for the 90-day. We selected Springfield and Cairo Northfield. We selected Bartlett. Are those areas within that depression?
Yeah.
What the national average?
National average is 23.2, and then this particular area is at 26.8, so the dark purple. And let's go right here to that area. So
But how did you arrive to this? What did you get?
This is a CDC Places, so this tool, we use it, we're starting to use it a lot to deploy our public health strategies, and I invite everybody in our disciplines and cross-discipline to access this tool. It's based on a behavioral risk factor surveillance system survey that the government worked on. And this data can help us strategize, and as you see, we have different metrics: it's arthritis, asthma, high blood pressure, cancer, And apart from diabetes and depression, I mean, as it relates to our topic, we can go ahead and deploy resources and strategically.
We also use this tool for grant writing.
Yes, and I do want to mention on a side note, now that you mentioned the grant writing, there's other tools, like for example, the EJ screen tool that is not mentioned here, but that relates more a little more on the environmental side. So we have like poverty rates and air quality, et cetera, which we can correlate, at least for a public health discipline, cross use, like a cross-sectional, right, conduct that study and be able to deploy resources. So in regards back to Dr. Vassan's mention.
So we're below the national average because they're gray.
Yes, in this area, and that's where I found particularly important to mention to the committee. So when we deploy resources, we can go, and I propose that we tackle in these particular areas where these prevalence rates are higher than the national average, and so we can.
But the prevalent rates are of people that live in that area, not people that drive to that area.
Yes.
Right.
So, and this is why we select the intersections that are most
Yes.
traveled.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make that clear. It's not about north or south. We skip different locations so that we try to identify the intersections that are most traveled.
Yes, yes, yes. In conjunction, like for example, we have mail campaigns, email targeted, Facebook, social media. We can know that in these particular locations. So depending on what strategy we're going to deploy, it helps you narrow it down.
Thank you.
Yes. And then moving along. Next up, I want to mention that we have so as a result of last meeting, I myself, found myself needing to obtain the adult mental health first aid training, and we went ahead and talked to our training coordinator, and we set up a date to provide some training with the help of Ms. Garcia, right?
Yes.
And, yeah, so we have 8 slots as of this morning, and she was kind enough to go ahead and open it up to fellow committee members if you're interested in joining. We have 25 seats, of which, as I mentioned, we have 8 slots, and that would be taking place on May 23rd, on Friday. And we have a schedule there from 8 a.m. to 12, and lunch and afternoon session, right? So we have that QR code available if anyone's interested. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the Public Health Department presentation?
Just to piggyback on what you were mentioning on the 98, we just had a meeting yesterday with the Texas State Suicide Prevention Coalition. And Lisa Sullivan mentioned that the funding that you talked about is the reason being is also there's a lot of areas that don't have the capability for texting or chatting. So that's the reason they're doing this trust fund, to be able to expand the services to those areas of need. So that, aside from the calls dropping, there's a lot of rural areas that still can't have the capability to get that chat and text line going as well. Okay, so just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, Frank. Any other comments or questions for the public health? I want to commend all the staff for doing the research on the different apps, and I think they're very valuable. I would like to, maybe when y'all have come up with, let's say, your top 20 or whatever it is, for us to, in fact, get our teenagers or our adult parents or to test them out and let them give us feedback. What do you think? Because I could think it's wonderful, but then I try to give it to my son or grandchild, they're gonna say, what is this? This is dumb. You know what I mean? I would like to get feedback from the actual population that we want to serve with these apps, so that way we know that we're right on track.
And Dr. Vassan, something that we were made sure of to do was that the first 2 apps, they were peer reviewed by counselors and psychologists, and all the apps and the websites that we shared, they've gone through trials with people of the age groups that they're trying to reach. For example, the third one, the takespacetopause.org, they didn't launch it until they did a test trial with teenagers, and actually teenagers helped design that application. And for the work to be well, that one was also designed in created in California. And the panel that was there that we got to answer questions were teenagers who were part of creating the application. So what's wonderful about it, California, the diversity, it's all ethnicities, all ages of teenagers who participated. So
I think that's great, and thank you for sharing. I think the next time, if you can share that so that the community knows that these are something that have been tested in the population. I also want to point out that our community is very unique. We're not like any other state, not even the city next to us. And so, just to keep that in mind, and of course Spanish is very, very prevalent here, so if it's not available, then let's make it Spanish. That's just my thinking. But thank you for doing all of that research, I really appreciate it.
Dr. Bassani, if I may just, on the first app, the Colombian, I just want to remind everybody, and I think I spoke about it before, DHS and CBP have already made a download on all smart devices for all government employees to use that particular app. They have their version, licensed version, and then the public one that you shared. As a matter of fact, today, Frank stepped by the office and we were actually having a resiliency course where we spoke about this particular app with our principal and chaplaincy. So to validate, yes, it is primarily used in law enforcement, university, and even the military, the Colombian protocol. And I think all professional licensed individuals get trained in that one, if I'm not mistaken, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much for following up on these projects. These are really important for the community and for the committee, because then we can come back and get the information from you, take it back to our community members. Thank you. The next item is the You Are Not Alone awareness campaign. And I know that we did not meet last month, but I do want to say that I want to acknowledge all of you that went to the 988 You're Not Alone campaign at the corner of McPherson and Delmar from 11:30 to 12:15. People find it hard to leave. I know I do. But thank you for giving your time, because you make a big, big difference. We had a huge crowd. And then the month before that, I know the law enforcement agencies took the leadership on that. Thank you for doing that. So guess what? This coming Friday is the last Friday of the month. And it's not gonna rain. So from 11:30 to 12.
That's for sure.
11:30 to 12, I have plenty of clear ponchos that I can take with me, so.
All right, motivate.
What do y'all think about us gathering again?
Yep.
Same location, McPherson and Delmar?
Yeah. I'll show up. I'll try to see if I can get some of my guys also. I've been always saying that I'm gonna take some units out there, but usually they get busy. Hopefully this time they're not too busy. And hopefully on this time we can be on the same side instead of we're over here on the side of the Exxon.
We need to coordinate better, but you know what, you were very visible by the people that were coming from the opposite direction also. So thank you for that. So now mark your calendar, Friday from 11:30 to 12, McPherson and Delmar, we will be there. Of course, we continue to promote the 988 and talk about it. I just can't, get over what a valuable resource it is. And we continue to promote it at every event that we attend, every presentation, training, community outreach we do. We give them the list of resources. We also have a QR code for that. But the more the merrier. As we discover new resources, I would like for us to share with each other so that we can update that information. The great news about that, as it was already mentioned, Senator Sabrini and others at the Senate are already looking at approving that bill. So I am very excited about that. Hopefully next month we'll have better news. But the good news that I have is that I belong to one of the Rotary groups, the Laredo Daybreak Rotary, and they have awarded us a grant for the 988.
Wow.
I don't know how much money it is yet because it was a surprise. It just so happened that I attended a board meeting to make up an absence from a Friday meeting. And they had it on the agenda, and one of the members apologized to me for not letting me know ahead of time. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, you'll hear about it. So they talked about what a great movement we have going on in the community and how the Rotary needs to do something to support the movement And although they cannot be out there with us holding signs or maybe, wearing shirts or going to the legislators, they can write a check for us. And so they're gonna give us money. And once I get that check, I will share it with all of you, because I think through your efforts, this was made possible. And this is how we get people to join us. Even if we have $0 in our bank account, or 0 t-shirts, or 0 signs, we have made it happen. I mean, that's something that all of us should be very, very proud of. And not one person, not one agency, but everybody together. So I'm gonna give you. So that was great news. It was music to my ears. Any questions or comments on that?
Dr. Basan,
Yes.
if I can comment, I wanna thank everybody and thank you for initiating the rallies. We had a training, and Dr. Basan and her staff were present in that training on mental health first aid. And I was telling Dr. Basan that one of the community health workers came up to us and told us that because she saw that resource on the corner of McPherson, she was able to give the 988 number to her sister, and she had attempted to commit suicide. So even though we might think that we are not making a change, we are making a change. And I feel really, really good knowing that our community is making a change. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And I want you to know that when she shared that with me, I just, that was the best thing I could hear that day. And how can you not continue, right? You might not ever hear about it, but you are making a difference out there. So thank you for that. Thank you for the comment. Frank, were you gonna say something, or Mr. Rangel?
No, it was Mr. I just wanted to thank Mr. Boteo at TAMU. He helped put up a 988 sign at the student center. And, you never know who you're gonna help. So everything helps. And being on that corner, it works.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Rangel. And I know everywhere you go, I see you promoting it, so thank you. He's like our walking billboard. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Thank you.
If y'all need any magnets or anything, I know the public health staff has some. We have some. We have some t-shirts. I was gonna bring some, and I just flew out of the office. So if you need a shirt, please come by the office or let Becky know. And then we need to decide what we're gonna do with the grant once we get that money. Okay, so be thinking. I know it's not gonna be $1 million, but
It'll feel like $1 million just by having the money.
okay, next item is the update on new projects for the new year. Last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion about the different trainings, and thank you for scheduling that mental health first aid training here at the public health. Any of you that are interested, please sign up. There's also a youth mental health first aid training, and I believe SCAN offers that. And I know that, Laura, do you offer the youth one? Yes. Laura offers it also, so please contact Laura. I know that our team received both trainings. The other training that we have on the agenda is suicide loss team training. And I think all of you have gotten an email several times. I do want to acknowledge Frank for getting us this contact and getting the lady to agree to come to our beautiful community. And the meeting, the training will be actually, what day, Becky? April the what? Third. April the 3rd? Next Thursday. So if you want to participate, I know Becky brought a couple of QR codes, and you have not registered, please do so, because registration closes tomorrow at noon. And I see the Laredo Police Department, I see the public health. I wanted to make sure that I had representation from TAMU, Laredo College, from the different entities, Board Region, LISD, UISD. So please, register if you're able to attend. And this is at no cost. It will be provided at no cost to all of us. It's like a 6-hour training. And then Mr. Moreno offered his facility, so we will be having the training there. It's a beautiful facility, state-of-the-art, very comfortable. And Frank is also gonna help us with other resources as long as we find out, right, Frank?
Yeah, it's already, I already spoke to Levy's Barbecue, David, and
president from credit union, so, yeah, I
Excellent.
think it's gonna work out.
Wonderful, so we'll be having lunch, thanks to Frank's, initiative. Thank you, Frank. And see, it takes a team to make something happen, but we all of us have to be willing to participate. Once we bring the resource, we come together, educate ourselves so that we can serve not just the community, but support one another. Any other trainings that you all can think of that we need to look at, maybe after the suicide loss team training, we can identify other trainings. So just be on the lookout, okay? It's a continuation of our education and training on mental health. The next item is the protocol for families experiencing a loss. Ms. Maricela Jackman is the one that had the report on that, because that was her voluntold projects along with Mr. Moreno. But she's not with us tonight due to a loss in her family, so I want to take a moment of silence in honor of her family member. Thank you, everyone. Item C is NAMI. I know Jaime Arispe from our community was going to report on that. He's not with us tonight. He had another commitment. And the next item is the 988 rallies, which we already talked about. And just to reaffirm, we agree every last Friday of each month to do these. And the location can change. We will discuss it here the Wednesday before the last Friday of the month to decide the location. Signs, we have signs, we'll probably create more. You can create your own with your logo and just put on there, "You're not alone." It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't, people respond, people smile, people wave, people think about things. You at least distract them from those negative thoughts or anxiety that they might be feeling. It's a distraction for them. And the next item is announcements and open discussion. But before we do that, I just want to go around the table really quick and identify yourself with your agency so that we all know who's here, because I know there's new faces. Earl, can we start with you like that?
Earl Medina, co-chair, representing District 5, Ruben Gutierrez, and part of Orgullo Laredo Youth and Safe Haven.
Hi guys, I'm Barbara and I'm representing Juntos for Better Health, the community mental health program at the Public Health Department. Samantha Galmar from Casa Misericordia, case manager.
Irene Gonzalez, United Independent School District, Health Services Director.
Frank Sanchez, supervisor, Border Region, Children's Department, and / suicide prevention coordinator as well.
Hi, Cindy Lopez, LISG. I'm with the Guidance and Counseling Department. I'm the Substance Abuse Coordinator.
Miguel Angel, I'm representing Melissa Sahua from District 3, concerned citizen, and I just want to thank everybody for being here.
I am Laura Cortez. I work at Puerto Rican Behavioral Health Center. I'm the Director of Special Programs and Projects. I'm also trained in adult and youth mental health first aid.
Yes, good evening, Sergio Moreno, National Board of Joe Council with the Labor Union. I advocate for suicide prevention and crisis prevention. That's why I'm so thrilled to be with this program.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Sergeant Eddie Bertolus with the Laredo Police Department. I'm the direct supervisor for the mental health unit and also for the crimes against property. And I am also the president for the Laredo Police Officer Association.
Good evening, my name is Fabiola Espinosa and I'm the case manager for the Frontera program at SCAN.
Good evening, my name is Armando Duarte with WestCare, Texas. I'm a peer support specialist within the DFC phase PGTT coalition.
Hello, I'm Miguel Ortiz. I work with WestCare. I'm project coordinator. We work with drug-free communities. We go into schools with the kids, teach them to stay away from drugs.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Diaz. I'm the director of Student Health Services and Wellness at Laredo College.
Hello, I'm Mary Sosa. I'm a counselor at Laredo College.
Gabriel Martinez, counselor at Gateway Community Health Center and representing Dr. Tyler King for District 6.
Harm reduction specialist with the City of Laredo Health Department, Adrian Morales.
Angel Montes, Community Health Administrator here at Laredo Public Health.
I'm Becky Diaz. I'm with the Area Health Education Center. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator.
And I think we've got everybody, right? And of course, our friend here, our extended family, Mr. Mr. De La Rosa, thank you for being here with the Laredo Morning Times. I do want to say that if anybody has any announcements or anything to share, you're welcome to do so at this time.
Well, Dr. Rosan, if I can, I'm very proud to say that on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of April, I'll be wearing my purple shirt and my banner up in the Batesville and La Pryor area representing our organization. I found out that there was a need, an absence of information out there, so I'll be out there in personal mission to bring information, and I want to get youth information for the youth. I know they lack information out there, so if you got anything that you could share with me, I'd be more than happy to share it with the community.
Well, you can share your email with me and I'll send it over.
Awesome, thank you.
While you're saying that, make sure that all of you signed into the sign-in sheet, please, so we can capture your contact information. Anybody else? Anything to share? Very good. Well, I do. We brought you some candy because, you know, Easter's just around the corner. Besides, it's spring and it's a beautiful time to put a smile on your face. And I thought about it and I told Becky, if I do this, and I'm probably going to get Dr. Chamberlain upset at me because he's going to say that's not healthy. So, but just take one and just, you know, it'll put a smile on your face. Take one for your child, for your wife, your significant other. And I just want to say thank you, that I appreciate you very, very much. And everything you do is very important to the community, to this committee, to me, even though we don't see each other daily, but I know how hard each one of you works. And I wouldn't be better anywhere else other than to be here with you this time on this day every month. So thank you. I look forward to it. And anything you need anytime, please call us. I know Ms. Rosales went with us yesterday. She's part of the AHEC board, by the way. She's our vice president. And we went to visit the senator. She invited us. And do you want to tell them?
Maybe it's to recognize the area health education for everything that they have done. So the Senate, they recognized them. They were the 7th. They can only recognize 7 agencies in every legislative year, and from January to May, and we were number 7. So.
It was a beautiful experience, to say the least, and we also got to meet with our new state rep, McLaughlin, and he's very, very optimistic, he rolled out the red carpet for us, so we captured his ear very well, and I really hope that we can continue to make strides. All these doors open not because of anything else, but because we take all of you with us and we show them that, and I said this, and Ms. Rosales can tell you, we don't do it alone, we do it because we have great partners. And we have people in our community that are caring about each other. And when you have that, look at what we did with 98 for 2 years with 0 funds. And imagine if we had money, we would probably set up our own 98. Right? Tell me, I mean, really. So let's be proud of what we have accomplished, and let us continue to be together in the initiative and new ones. But most importantly, take time to take care of yourself. Self-care is important. And I don't have to tell you this, right? But don't forget about it, because I forget about it. And like I tell the team at the AHEC, don't wait until the end of the day. If you need self-care 5 minutes, say, I need a break, go outside, listen to music, go take a walk around the conference table. Whatever you need, go drink a soda. Just do it because you deserve it. And you can't continue to do well unless you are well, right? So with that being said, it looks like we can make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Because I've been pushing the email, I've been trying to get as many officers to enroll for the training next week. Is there a limit amount of personnel? I think I have about 8, including myself.
I have some that already registered for your case, and I can share the names, but we can take 8. If that's the limit that you have, we can take it.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else?
Run count. What was the count?
He needs to know.
The one that I gave you earlier?
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Rankin, second? Martinez, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposition, so the motion carries. Thank you.